Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for being here today. My name is Becca Johnson, and I'm here with Jonathan, and we're just going to go over a couple of features for Hindenburg Pro 2. And just want to run through a couple things about AirMeet. If you haven't been here before, your cameras and mics are disabled. We can't see or hear any of you. But if you have, you can use the chat, say hello. Throughout this short presentation. If you have any questions, please put those in the Q&A tab, which is just there's a little like Q&A bubble for questions, and we won't see them if they're in the main chat, but we will see them if they're in the Q&A part. So we can bring those up afterwards and answer a couple questions. We also will be at the tables afterwards to sit down with you and chat with you if you have any questions that you want to go over there as well. So a couple other things about AirMeet. There's a little smiley face at the bottom of your screen. You can click on that and give Jonathan some reactions, some applause, some love as he's presenting or afterwards, or however you want to use that. And I think that is it for AirMeet. I will see you all at the tables afterwards. Thanks, Jonathan.
Sure. So welcome everybody to Office Hours. So for those folks who haven't been here before, again, all we're going to do is just show you a feature that maybe you haven't seen before with Hindenburg, maybe you're not aware of. And then we'll go to we'll be at these tables. Some of you might have seen that beforehand. And you can have a seat at the table and talk to one of us. And there's going to be a table for pro, for narrator. There's a Spanish-speaking table, a German-speaking table, and a table for our certification course. So you can ask any questions directly to us there. If you do have a question that you think would be good for the group, you can put it in this Q&A area, which is on the right side of your screen, just like Becca said. Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you about here today is Merge, and we're just going to spend a couple of minutes, like I said, just kind of show a feature before. We will have a replay of this in the Facebook community, so if you're not a member, please join our community page in Facebook. And these videos also play on our YouTube page. You can see them there in the live section of our videos, okay? So let's get to this and talk about all things Merge, all right? So really what we're talking about today is Merge Sessions, which is a feature that is super cool that I think not everybody knows about, okay? And Becca, let me know, chime in if you can't see my screen, but everybody should be able to see my screen here. So here's this Hindenburg session that I have up. This probably look familiar to you, this type of thing, okay? So I've just got a track and I've got a few cue points in here. I use the cue points on purpose. I'll say why in a second. Let's first talk about Merge, and I'll also explain the difference between Merge and Group because sometimes that gets a little confused. And then we'll get into Merge Sessions, which is really what I want to showcase. So basically, the idea with merging is pretty simple. Is if you have this region here, I'll separate these out a little bit. Oh, I should say for those folks who don't know, in AirMeet, it's a browser. So if you're seeing this on your screen, if it's kind of small, just remember to put the window in full screen, okay? And you can, because it's a browser-based streaming service, so you can see it a little bit better there. But basically, this is real simple. I have this region and this one, just two little blobs. And if I, either I was making a bunch of cuts or edits or whatever it was, sometimes you do a cut of things, you cut out the parts you don't want, and then you just want to have, instead of a bunch of different clips, you just want it all to be one clip again. So let's just say I had a bunch of edits. So this is now, whatever, 5 regions. I can select all of these, okay, in this first one here. And if I right-click, if you right-click on in the workspace here, a new menu comes up with some things that you didn't have access to before, and Merge is one of those. So it'll basically do this and make it into one clip again. Okay. The other way of doing that is that if you had, it's the same thing really, but you select 2 different tracks and you say, merge these tracks together, it will take these 2 tracks and merge them into one. In this case, that was actually 2 different people speaking, which you can do. And I wanted to show this with the colors just to show you that since it has to pick one, if you had two different colors, it'll always default back to its the kind of default for the tracks. Okay, so that's basics of merge. So again, if you had a number of different regions that were broken up, you can select them all and say merge, and it will merge them together. Now, when you do this, sometimes there's some interesting things that'll happen. Like if you had markers or other things, it might, or cue points in particular, it might you might notice that it gets off. That's because the way Hindenburg references the audio, it always goes back to that files folder. And now you've made like a new region when you merge two different clips together. So if you had a cue point in particular, and you for two different regions, like two different people speaking, and you merged it and made a new track, that cue point won't be there. You'd have to put it back. So that's a little thing there. And if you have questions about this, you can ask me directly when we're at the tables and all that kind of stuff. Or ask me here. You can put a question in the Q&A, and I'm happy to show any of that again. Sometimes merge gets confused with group, and all group is I did the same thing. I selected a few different regions. I went down here, and I'm going to say I got here the same way. I did a right click. This new menu comes up. There are keyboard shortcuts for all this, but I'm just going to show you in the menu. And you say group. And when I group these regions together, it's very much just like linking tracks. If I do an edit on one, it does an edit on all of them. Okay, like for the volume, or if I move them, it just means the tracks themselves are grouped. That's all. So that's just the difference between merge and group. But what I wanted to show you was this kind of more hidden feature, which is merge sessions. And this comes up a fair amount. Sometimes people ask questions about this, like how do I get, access somebody else's session? You're working on a session together, that kind of thing. So what you do is, this is my session. Okay, it's called whatever it's called. It's called Untitled. This is my local session. Okay, that's right here. Now, if I was to go to import, okay, just like I would import a clip of audio. All right. Now, normally I'd pick, let's say some piece of audio. Okay, and I'd import it in, and it would open up. All right. But instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is actually go to here and open up a Hindenburg session itself, okay? So I'm going to do this one. So I'm just going to click on this Hindenburg session. And when I do that, that session will open up from the beginning with all of its markers, regions, colors, and everything. So you can just open up a session. So if Becca was working on a session and I did the first 10 minutes, she was going to do the second 10 minutes. I can just do my first 10 minutes, and after she saves it, if it was in like cloud storage or Dropbox or Google Drive, whatever, you just go to that Hindenburg session, and you say import, and it will open up that session with all the edits and everything right there. So it's a super handy way just to collaborate with people that I feel like some folks don't know about. So that's what we wanted to showcase today. Okay. And that is basically it. So again, what we're trying to do with this office hour series is just show you a little bit of maybe a feature that you haven't seen before. Maybe you do know about it. I can't know that. Well, we just want to show that to you. So you can maybe, try some of this yourself. So there were so many things in Hindenburg that are kind of hidden away that you can't see directly. Okay. So I'm going to see if there are any questions that I can put on the stage here. Just again, keep in mind, we're going to stop this live part of the performance and go out to the tables, and you can talk to me or one of the other Hindenburg trainers and ask your questions. There are some great questions here. They're just not about other things like audiobooks and stuff. So I'm happy to answer that. I'll be at the narrator table too, and I'll answer those there. But this one is about merging. So a merge session opens wherever your cursor is, or a new one goes to the top. It's a great question. It's where your cursor is. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate that one more time. Okay, so all right, so here in my Hindenburg session, all right, so if I was to put the playhead, the white line here, and go to import, okay, and then pick a Hindenburg session. Okay, let's see, I'll pick a different one this time. All right, pick this session here. It's going to start at the beginning right here. Okay. So however that session was set up. So that's the way that it works. It's going to do it at the cursor, at the white line, the playhead. So there you go. Hopefully you learned something new today. And if you have any questions, we're going to stop the live part of the session. Again, this will be streamed on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll see you out there at the tables. And thanks so much for coming. See you soon.